Hello. So we're doing how to position as a support on Splitstone. Splitstone, it's not super complicated. There's usually two different compositions that people play, right? There's two different sides. It's very similar to Stone Keep, where there's two ways to play this map, and there's two ways to play support, depending on which style your team chooses. For callouts, the bottom right side is called Quarry, and the left side of the map is called Lava, and I'm going to be calling them that, just because it's quicker. So that's, I mean, and Quarry and Lava are the two type of team comps, right? You either have like, you know, like something like a ruckus or like a lot of flanks or something, right? And they'll go on the left and they'll do their thing over there. Or sometimes your entire team will play huddled down here and just look to burn point, and that's Quarry. Let's talk about Lava first. So you're gonna be on high ground for if your team is super flanky or if your team is going left. So don't stand here. It's okay. So like, where you stand depends on how much poke the other team has. If the other team is like a Tyra and like, I don't know, like an Eevee, then yeah, you can stand here no problem. What's gonna shoot you? Tyra? No, Tyra's not doing any poke. Eevee's not really gonna do any poke. Let's say I have a Kinessa, right? Kinessa's a bit different. So you might want to say, okay, I just want to LOS through high ground. So you're gonna play here, right? And you can play here. She can still shoot you from that platform, which looks from the other side like this. And whoever designed this map, whoever designed the art for this map, was actually really clever. Because there's this sort of line on the high ground, which decides your LOS. If you are past this line, you cannot be shot by anything on the other high ground. If you are on the other side of the line, you can be shot from over there. And then if you can be shot by bridge, well, I mean, by someone in the middle, then you can see that, right? And the same thing here, like this sort of wooden plank decides whether you can see their ramp or not. So if they have a sniper, you're usually going to be playing like back here, right? Play here, play near the cover. Standing in the open here is, I'm not going to say it's good, but it's not the worst, because like, what's going to shoot you, right? Like if they have a Kinessa and she TPs over to bleachers, yeah, you probably want to hug this wall. But yeah, the most important thing is just going to be knowing this little line right here and what that means for the LOS on high ground. If your team ever makes a big rotation, you like, if they're hard pushing and you want to actually like take part in the fight instead of like just watching this big mining thing, you just want to like, you actually want to take part in the fight, you want to help your team. There's two ways of doing that. One is to like sliver over here or TP over here or like dash over here and try to take part in the fight that way. It's risky, but if your team is making space, you can. The other option is just to, you know, push this way, which is fine. You can do that. It's just not as good LOS, right? You can try to peek them like this and stuff, but that's not great. Here is actually really good for supports if it's safe. If it's not safe, then yeah, don't go here. But if it is safe, then this is a fine position. But generally, yeah, you're just going to be sitting on high ground, avoiding their DPS. That's the option for lava comps. Like if your team is playing the left side of the map, then yeah, play the high ground. If your team is stacking in Quarry, which is this area down here, well, I mean, you're going to follow them, right? You can't really play high ground, right? Because if you play high ground, if the other team has like an Eevee or a Maeve, and you play over here, and you're like, well, first of all, you can't heal anyone who's inside there, right? You can't see. And they're just going to have an Eevee who's like, you know, blinking on you for free, and just, if she sees you by yourself, you're dead, right? Just poof, and you're dead. So what you want to do instead, play here. Generally, it's going to be this corner. Don't play the low ground. It's really like, your way to back up is like through main, which is in full line of sight of their DPS. It's only to here, which isn't really safe. Like, you can be chased pretty easily. So instead, you play this corner. It lets you LOS things a lot better. Lets you LOS whichever side of the map you want. You can LOS point. You can push up. It's a bit easier to back up because, I mean, here is a bit farther back. So yeah, generally it's going to be this corner. You can push up a little bit. You can play here. This is fine. But then you just kind of got to look at how the fight's going and how far back you need to be playing. That's really it. Just stick on this sort of path. Don't go down, because if you go down, again, you're going to be forced to like back up, and you're going to end up in like a spot where you're like hiding at like 500 HP and there's like a ruckus coming after you, and like this isn't a good spot to be in if we have 500 HP and a ruckus. So that's really it. The high ground, or that corner right there. That's it. On the defense. So there's 2 chokes. Well, there's technically 3, but you only get to fight at 2 of them. So one of them is just line right here, right? This high ground. Right, your DPS can like spam down here, spam anyone who tries to cross. It's pretty cool. For you can't really play up here. I mean, you can, but it's risky. And the way that people break through this high ground is usually going to be by running through down here, through lower house. This is called lower house. Is that a calendar? Huh. Lore in my Paladins? It's more likely than you think. Yeah, basically most people are going to push out this door, right? There's 2 ways that they're going to get over. They're either going to take the high ground. They're going to try to push through main, which shouldn't work, and if they do, you can shoot them, smile. Or they're going to try to push through here. So where's the safest spot for all of those? It's just going to be this way back here. And yeah, you're not super involved in this fight, but it's really the only spot that's safe, because if you play on here, and you get flanked, you're dead, right? You have nowhere to back up to. If you play high ground, there's a chance you get poked out, there's a chance you get dove, you're really far up. This is okay depending on comp. Like if the other team is like Tyra and Cassie, yeah, you're probably safe to play up here. But if the other team is like Eevee and Maeve, then you're probably not. The most generic safe spot I have is going to be like this sort of area right here. It protects you if some people come on high ground, because you have like these corners to play with, you have like a whole, this entire other area to go to. If people try to push out of the small door, supports can usually, you're safe here, you'll contribute good damage. And if they try to push through main, well, you can still help with that, and you're not a vulnerable target. So, yeah, just play back here. You don't really need to drop ever. Like, again, you're defending, right? So you're not trying to be the target, you're trying to be safe. Here's the safe spot to be. The other choke is this bridge. And that's what I mean, that you only get 2 fights. Like, if you take a fight at this bridge over there, you're probably not getting a fight here. If you do, usually you're going to be playing on Furnace, right? Somewhere around here. This is not a good spot, but if your team's fighting there, you can. Or you can push up to here. Or if there's fighting going on in Mines, which is this area that I'm in, then you can play this door, and it's fine. It's not a good choke to fight at, but it's not the worst, and sometimes people will just really play aggressively and just to waste time. Because it's still, like, taking a fight over here, you'll get another one, right? So it's pretty safe. So just follow your team. And for the last choke, it's just going to be playing this spawn, right? You're invincible here. They can't kill you. The only other spot that you might play is down here. This is pretty safe, right? You have this sort of angle to back up to. This wall can block your getaway to spawn. It's pretty safe. So this can be cheeky, right? You have some pretty cool angles. But generally it's just going to be like spawn door, right? I will say, the difference between being here is pretty big, because this is 1-shot in spawn, and then over here is like 1-shot, 2-shot spawn, right? So, like, yes, this is technically cool and you can use the pillars, but it's just play spawn doors, like you're invincible. There's no reason to push out here. You're the support, right? If your team is pushing out, then yeah, sure, then you can make the aggressive plays if you really want, but just make sure you're being careful. Yeah, just play spawn or play bottom of ramp. On the push. So remember what I said about this choke is that there's kind of 3 ways to go about it. You can just try to take the high ground directly with a lot of flanks and a lot of stuff with vertical mobility. You can try to run it down main, or you can try to push through lower house. Your team's going to take one of those options probably, right? And wherever they go, you go. If your team's pushing for lower house, cool, you can follow them this way where I am right now. If your team's going through main, I'd advise playing up here. Actually, if your team's pushing through just to high ground and you can get up there, then just play up here. Like, you can take the ramp up from lava. And this is probably the way to go because you have the best LS on high ground. You can also peek high ground from here, or you can pick it from down here, which isn't as good, but it's doable. If your team just runs it down main, it's not great. You might as well just stay safe, play down here. That's really your only options. When you're pushing cart on this map, by the way, try to hug the high ground as much as possible, because if you're just sitting on cart back here, they can see you from here, but if you're hugging the wall, they have to like peek all the way down here, which is just more vulnerable for them, right? So little min-maxing. If you're pushing any cards here, there's like again there's two sides. There's like this house and there's mines. If your team's pushing through mines and you want to like go help them, I didn't realize there was dust that fell. That's interesting. And you want to go help them, yeah, follow them here. Use this pillar, corners, all that good stuff, right? If your team's pushing for high ground, then yeah, make the rotation up to high ground, over here, and help them fight. But most of the time you're just going to be free pushing. And then you're going to get to around this corner, and then the actual fight's going to happen. First thing is going to be careful of this angle. Snipers can and will shoot you from here. You can't shoot it, yeah. Is the crosshair still off? What's up? So be careful of that. Playing back here is pretty cool. I mean, you can still get shot, but... What was that bug? Got stuck for a sec? Anyhow. You can play this corner. This corner is a bit safer, depending on where your team is. Again, like, once you get to this corner, it's one fight, so you don't have to worry about pushing cart, because all you need to worry about is winning the fight, because if you win the fight, the cart goes in. They're all dead. It's close enough. So, if your team's just in main, then you're in main, right? There's not much you can do about that. If your team's pushing mines, then yeah, follow them. Like, this is really simple, right? There's like, if your team is somewhere, follow them, right? Usually on pushes, you want to play pretty aggressive, so I wouldn't really, like, if you have an Inara or something, let's say you have an Inara and an Ashe, I'd try to help the Ashe more than the Inara, because on pushes, you need to play pretty aggressive. This bot Mave caps the objective again. Taking longer to load back in, it feels like. Please don't cap. Anyhow, man, am I going to go kill the main? There she go. I got rolled. What the heck? Whoa. Why don't the players of my games do that? What's up with this? Okay, hold up. I can actually get off point. I actually got destroyed. Alright. We edit that bit out. I can't believe that happened. Here, I will exact my revenge. Good stuff. Alright. You know, it's just because the bot has the pro player title, you know? It's just, too powerful. Anyhow. Basically, as a summary on this map, there's two ways your teams can play the mid. There's Quarry and there's Lava. If your team's playing Quarry, follow them in Quarry. Play this corner right here. If your team's playing Lava, then LOS their high ground if you need to. Remember this line. And just kind of chill, follow your team with make an aggressive play. On the first choke. This is really your only good safe spot. If you really want to experiment and try out other places, go for it. But just be careful. On this, if your team is like holding in a weird spot between them, you're going to be playing either on Furnace, right, over here in this sort of place, or you're going to be playing on the bridge, which isn't as safe, but this isn't a good spot to hold. And then on last, when you're defending, you're either going to be playing in spawn, or you're going to be playing this corner right here. If you're pushing, your team is either going to push mid, or the first choke, they're going to run it down mid, they're going to take high ground, or they're going to push your lower shop right here. Whichever one your team does, follow them. If your team takes high ground, and if your team is taking high ground, let's say you're like, I don't know, you're a Genos, and your team is like Ruckus, Eevee, Mave, and yeah, you probably want to go here just so you can, like, at the very least help a little bit. If your team's just running it down main, or you want to help high ground in a different way, then you can take Lava. Otherwise, again, follow your team. If you're taking a fight at this bridge, you don't want to be in main, you want to be helping your team whichever side of the map they're pushing. If they're not pushing any side, then, well, I mean, you still follow your team, it's just rough. If your team goes mines, follow them mines. If your team's taking high ground, follow them high ground. Like, it just depends, what is your team doing, you know? On the push, again, there's Spiral, and there's mines. Don't go main. You don't want to be in main on the push, because you want to be aggressive, and your offline is aggressive. Your main tank is not really going to be aggressive. So if your team goes mines, follow them mines. If your team goes Spiral, follow them Spiral. Anyhow, that should be it for Splitstone. Hope you guys enjoyed, and all. Oh, you can't do that. See you next time.